You know what drives me crazy every single morning? I pour my coffee, reach for that little paper packet, tear it open, and dump in something that traveled through 3 factories and 4 countries just to make my drink taste better. 77 pounds. That is how much processed sugar the average American consumes every single year. But here is what nobody tells you. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to grow a lifetime supply of natural sweetener in a single pot on your windowsill. Something the processed food industry hoped you would never figure out. Welcome back to Secrets Beneath Nature. Before we continue, please hit that subscribe button. Now let us keep going. Here is the situation we are all stuck in. The American Heart Association published data showing we consume more added sugar than any generation in human history, and our bodies are paying the price. Inflammation markers are rising. Metabolic dysfunction is spreading through families. Energy crashes send us right back to the sugar bowl for another hit. So we reach for alternatives: honey, maple syrup, agave nectar. We tell ourselves these are better, but your blood glucose spikes just the same. Your pancreas cannot tell the difference between organic raw cane sugar and the regular kind. Sugar is sugar once it hits your bloodstream. Then came the artificial sweeteners, aspartame in the little blue packets, sucrose in the yellow ones. And now we have studies showing these chemicals might be disrupting our gut bacteria. We traded one problem for another and called it progress. But here is what really gets me. We have been conditioned to believe that sweetness requires factories, that you need industrial mills, refineries, purification systems, chemical processing, massive infrastructure just to make something taste sweet. Think about that for a second. Your great-grandmother sweetened her tea somehow. Her grandmother did too. For thousands of years, humans had sweet food without a single factory. So what happened? What did we forget? The answer starts in Paraguay. Deep in the forests of South America, the Guarani people have been using a plant they call ka-ahi-e for over 1,500 years. That name translates to sweet herb. It is not just a little sweet. The leaves of this plant contain compounds that make sugar taste like nothing. Spanish colonizers arrived in the 1500s and documented what they found. They recorded indigenous people chewing leaves that tasted impossibly sweet. But somehow, that knowledge stayed trapped in the region for centuries. The Western world moved on to sugarcane plantations and the slave trade that built them. Then, in 1899, a Swiss botanist named Moises Santiago Bertoni was working in Paraguay when he encountered the plant. He was stunned. He had never tasted anything like it in nature. He named it Stevia rebaudiana, after a Paraguayan chemist named Ovidio Rabaudi who helped analyze its chemistry. And here is where the science gets interesting. Researchers at institutions like Penn State and Cornell have identified the compounds responsible. They are called steviol glycosides. According to a major review published in Phytochemistry in 2003, these compounds are 200 to 350 times sweeter than regular sugar. But the real magic is what they do not do. They carry 0 calories. They have 0 glycemic impact. Your body does not metabolize them as sugar. They simply trigger the sweetness receptors on your tongue and pass right through. No insulin spike, no energy crash, no inflammatory response. Japan figured this out 50 years ago. Since the 1970s, steviol glycosides have made up 40% of their commercial sweetener market. 40%. While Americans were dumping aspartame into diet sodas, Japanese consumers were using this plant extract in everything from soft drinks to soy sauce. So why did it take America until 2008 to approve it? This is where the story gets uncomfortable. In 1991, the FDA issued an import alert banning stevia. They classified it as an unsafe food additive. No deaths, no hospitalizations. 1,500 years of documented human use by indigenous populations, and suddenly it was too dangerous for American consumers. The timing was interesting. Aspartame patents were still under protection. Major beverage companies had invested billions in artificial sweetener infrastructure. Patents and profits mattered. A free plant that anyone could grow in their backyard was not exactly good for business. Then in 2008, everything changed. Coca-Cola and Cargill filed patents on refined stevia extracts. Suddenly, the FDA granted GRAS status, generally recognized as safe. The same plant, the same compounds. But now there were patents involved and corporations ready to profit. You can buy their processed stevia products at any grocery store, but growing the plant yourself, that knowledge stayed buried until now. First decision: seeds or cuttings. Seeds have a germination rate between 15 and 25%. That is terrible, and even the ones that sprout will have inconsistent sweetness profiles. Genetics vary wildly from seed to seed. Cuttings are different. When you take a cutting from a sweet plant, you get an exact genetic clone. Same sweetness profile, same growth pattern, and success rates above 90%. One $4 plant from a nursery can produce unlimited cuttings for the rest of your life. Look for starter plants at local nurseries. Check farmers markets. Search online specialists who ship live plants. One healthy plant is all you need to get started. Now let us talk about growing conditions. If you live in zones 9 through 11, this plant grows as a perennial outdoors. It forms a small shrub about 1 to 2 feet tall. Give it full sun to partial shade. Protect it from frost. You can harvest leaves year-round in these climates. If you live in zones 4 through 8, treat it as a tender perennial. Grow it in containers. A 12-inch pot works perfectly. Put it on a south-facing window or under a grow light for 12 to 16 hours daily. Bring it indoors before your first frost. Keep it alive through winter and it will explode with growth come spring. The soil requirements are simple. Well-draining mix. Slightly acidic pH between 6 and 7. Keep the moisture consistent, but never let it sit in waterlogged soil. Root rot kills more of these plants than anything else. Now here is the propagation secret that changes everything. Take 4 to 6 inch cuttings from healthy stems. Remove the lower leaves. You can dip the cut end in rooting hormone, but it is optional. Place the cutting in water or moist potting mix. Within 2 to 3 weeks, you will see roots forming. One plant becomes 10. 10 becomes 100. This is exponential growth with zero additional cost. This is why the sugar industry never promoted home growing. You buy their product once and you never need them again. Let me tell you about the harvest timing secret. Most people do not know this. According to research published in the Canadian Journal of Plant Science in 2011, steviol glycoside concentration peaks just before the plant flowers. Late summer or early fall in most climates. This is when your leaves will be sweetest. Here's the trick. Pinch off flower buds as they form. This tells the plant to keep producing leaves instead of putting energy into reproduction. You extend your harvest window by weeks. Harvest in the morning after the dew dries. This is when the concentration of steviol glycosides is highest. Cut entire stems and strip the leaves. Leave about a third of the plant intact so it can regenerate. Now for processing without processing. Fresh leaves are the simplest method. Drop one leaf directly into your tea or coffee. Muddle it into cold drinks. Blend it into smoothies. One medium leaf equals approximately 1 teaspoon of sugar in sweetness. That is it. No machinery, no chemicals, just a leaf. For dried leaves, bundle small stems together and hang them upside down. Choose a dark spot with good air circulation. Wait 3 to 5 days until the leaves are crisp. Crumble them by hand or powder them in a spice grinder. Store in an airtight container. They stay potent for 2 years or more. If you want liquid extract, here is a 10-minute method. Take 1 cup of fresh leaves and steep them in 1 cup of warm water. Not boiling, warm. Let this sit at room temperature for 24 hours. Strain out the leaves. Transfer the liquid to a dropper bottle. Refrigerate. 1 bottle lasts for months. A few drops sweeten an entire cup of coffee. Let us talk about scale. One mature plant produces 200 to 300 grams of dried leaf per season. The average household needs 50 to 100 grams annually for regular use. 2 or 3 plants provide complete sugar independence for a family of 4. Grow a few extra and you have surplus for neighbors and friends. Now let me show you some advanced techniques that serious growers use. Temperature manipulation changes everything about growth rate and sweetness concentration. Keep your plants between 65 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. Drop nighttime temperatures by about 10 degrees. This temperature differential signals the plant to produce more protective compounds. Those compounds include the steviol glycosides we want. Growers in commercial operations in China and Kenya have perfected this technique. They use shade cloth during peak afternoon heat. They position plants where morning sun hits them directly, but afternoon exposure stays indirect. You can replicate this on a windowsill by moving your pot to a slightly cooler spot after midday. Pinching technique matters more than most guides tell you. When your plant reaches 6 inches tall, pinch off the top growth point. This forces the plant to branch sideways instead of growing tall and leggy. Each branch you create becomes another harvest site. A well-pinched plant produces 3 times more leaf mass than one left to grow naturally. Do this pinching every time new growth reaches 4 to 6 inches. Your plant transforms from a single stem into a dense bush covered in harvestable leaves. Commercial farms in Paraguay train workers specifically on this technique. It is that important to final yield. Companion planting creates microclimates that benefit everyone involved. Position your sweetener plant near basil or mint. These aromatics release volatile compounds that confuse common pests. Aphids and whiteflies have trouble locating their target when strong scents mask the plant they seek. Marigolds planted nearby attract beneficial insects that prey on garden pests. A small pot of marigolds on the same windowsill creates a defensive perimeter around your sweetener plant. This is integrated pest management at its simplest. Let me address the taste question that stops many people from trying this. Raw leaves have a slight licorice undertone. Some people love it immediately. Others need time to adjust. The variety you grow matters enormously here. A cultivar called Sweetie was developed specifically to minimize bitter aftertaste. Another variety called Sugar in the Raw produces leaves with cleaner flavor profiles. If you notice bitterness, harvest younger leaves. Older leaves accumulate compounds that create off flavors. The newest growth at stem tips tastes cleanest. Make this your primary harvest target. Drying method also affects final taste. AIR drying preserves more delicate flavor compounds than oven drying or dehydrator methods. Rapid heat application damages cell structures and releases bitter components. Patience produces better results. 5 days of air drying beats 2 hours in a dehydrator every time. Now let me share some recipes that make this practical in your daily life. Morning coffee becomes effortless. Drop 2 fresh leaves into your mug before pouring hot coffee over them. Let them steep for 3 minutes while you prepare for your day. Remove the leaves or leave them in. The sweetness extracts quickly, and you control intensity by leaf count. Homemade lemonade transforms completely. Blend 1 cup of fresh leaves with 4 cups of water. Strain through cheesecloth. Add fresh lemon juice to taste. You now have naturally sweetened lemonade with 0 sugar and 0 artificial anything. Kids love this, and parents love what is not in it. Baking requires a different approach. Dried leaf powder works best here. Substitute 1 teaspoon of powder for each cup of sugar a recipe calls for. Reduce liquid ingredients slightly since you remove the bulk that sugar provides. Start with cookies and muffins before attempting cakes. The learning curve takes a few batches. Smoothies might be the easiest application. Toss 3 or 4 fresh leaves into the blender with your usual ingredients. The blades pulverize everything together, no steeping required, no extraction needed. The sweetness distributes evenly throughout. Homemade jam opens up possibilities most people never consider. Traditional jam recipes call for enormous amounts of sugar, often more sugar than fruit by weight. Replace that entirely with concentrated liquid extract. Your jam tastes like actual fruit instead of sugar with fruit flavoring. Fermented beverages like kombucha work beautifully with this approach. Add liquid extract during the second fermentation. The sweetness remains because the compounds do not ferment like sugar does. Your final product tastes sweet without the sugar content that normally comes with it. Here is what we lost when we forgot this knowledge. Before industrial agriculture, sweetness was precious. Honey was seasonal and limited to regions with beekeeping traditions. Sweet fruits came and went with the harvest. Our ancestors learned which plants could add sweetness to their food and medicine. That knowledge passed down through generations. Then came colonial sugar. Plantations were built on slave labor. Entire ecosystems were destroyed to grow a single crop. Wealth concentrated in the hands of traders and processors. Slowly, generation by generation, we forgot that sweetness could come from anywhere else. We traded knowledge for convenience. Every generation since has been one step further from the source. But this is about more than nostalgia. 2020 showed us what happens when supply chains break. Grocery shelves went empty, prices spiked. People panicked over things as basic as flour and sugar. We built a civilization dependent on systems we do not control. A plant on your windowsill represents something bigger than leaves. It is a skill that cannot be inflated, cannot be taxed, cannot be removed from shelves during a crisis. It is knowledge that belongs to you. Consider what happens when you teach this skill to others. Your neighbor learns to grow their own sweetener. They teach their sister in another state. She shows her coworkers. Within months, dozens of people have escaped one small piece of the industrial food system. None of them will ever buy processed sweetener again. This is how resilient communities form, not through grand political movements, but through practical skills shared person to person. A cutting passed over a fence, a conversation about growing conditions at a backyard barbecue, knowledge spreading the way it did for thousands of years before corporations learned to monetize information. The Guarani people did not patent K-A-He-E. They shared it with anyone who asked. For 1,500 years, sweetness spread from family to family. That model still works. And unlike patented seeds that corporations control, this plant spreads freely. Teach one neighbor how to grow it, and they can teach another. Give cuttings to friends and watch the knowledge multiply. This is how information moved for thousands of years before corporations started locking it down. Every packet of processed sweetener you purchase reinforces a system designed to keep you dependent. The knowledge to break free costs almost nothing. One plant, one sunny window, a few weeks of patience. Start this week. Order a plant or a cutting. Clear space on your brightest windowsill. Commit to your first harvest. Taste what real sweetness feels like when you made it yourself. There is something that shifts when you realize the grocery store is not the source. It is just a middleman. Some of the best things never needed to be on those shelves in the first place. If this changed how you think about what you can grow for yourself, hit subscribe. Then watch the next video that will appear on your screen.